Conscious Collaboration brings together entrepreneurs, changemakers, and thought leaders. We aim to highlight the people that embody the idea of aligned mind, body, and business. Each week, we share, discuss, and learn from the various experiences and ideas of our guest experts. Through our discovery, we find a path to an aligned mind, body, and business.
What up? This is Emily.
And I'm Lisa, and we are the Conscious Collaboration. Hey, Emily.
Sup?
Good little productive little pre-chat there.
Yeah. We're like, we better push the record button.
I know.
The whole podcast with like off air.
Yeah, we should just hit record as soon as we get on the Zoom, and then we can have the unseen or the unpublished footage somewhere.
We can, but some I must say will remain unpublished forever.
No. That can be like the
some of our lives should remain unpublished.
That should be the paid for content. That's the really good stuff.
It's priceless.
Anyway, so we got to talking a little bit earlier before we started recording, and I came across a quote that it's nothing that we haven't heard before, but it just says in a really good way some of the topics that we talk about on the Conscious Collaboration podcast. And this one is a version by Joyce Meyer. I'm not sure what it is from, if it's a book or if she spoke it, but it says, "We are never going to enjoy stability. We are never going to enjoy spiritual maturity until we learn how to do what's right when it feels wrong. And every time you do what's right by a decision of your will, using discipline and self-control to go beyond how you feel, the more painful it is in your flesh, the more you're going to grow spiritually at that particular moment."
And actually hearing that for a second time, it like solidifies even more for me what we were just talking about before we hit record. So, of course, we're going to get into how we're going to relate this to an entrepreneurial stance specifically. But what this reminds me of, and of course, I'm the meathead here, so I'm pretty much always going to make a weightlifting analogy. But this is like almost a literal analogy. I don't know if that's what do you call it, an oxymoron, literal analogy. Anyway, so here's what this is like the concept of progressive overload or building muscle. All right, you intentionally apply a stressor under a controlled circumstance, and you essentially push through an appropriate amount of discomfort in order to create, literally in muscle tissue, growth and stability.
Yeah.
So you can't, it's a really fancy way of saying, I think, that quote of like, in order to grow, in order to create progress, you have to get out of the comfort zone, and you have to kind of explore the unknowns and do the things that are not comfortable for you to do, that maybe you don't want to do. And yeah, I think that application of intentional exercise, of strength training, to build muscle is like a perfect literal example of that in life. But certainly we can use this concept when we're talking about business growth and entrepreneurship just as easily.
Yeah, and personal growth too. And I was also thinking, when we were talking at the beginning, I immediately thought about relationships. I've been thinking a lot about people in general, and it can be romantic relationships or just friendships. But oftentimes people stick with what feels ritual or comfortable, or that feels like stability to them when it might not be best serving. So it's uncomfortable to make a shift. in your personal life as well. So entrepreneurialism, even, you're talking about physically, um, or also, just in that example as well too. So it's that, and we were talking about Rich Roll too, a little, his guest with, what's his name already? The psychiatrist that, um, or the therapist for Jonah Hill that Rich Roll's been interviewing.
I don't know. You
I can't
I don't know that
Yeah,
person's name.
anyway, he's been recently quoted too on another podcast, talking about we are operating at our best when we're in crisis mode. Like the best comes out
Mhm.
of us.
Mhm.
It calls forth like things that can result in huge transformation that we wouldn't know otherwise unless we had these irritants, irritants, adversities.
Power moments in a lot of
Yeah.
ways, right?
Yeah,
That we
tower
always
moment.
talk about. And yeah, I mean, honestly, I think this is why you know, this is another point in the pros column for strength training as an amazing personal growth tool,
Mhm.
because you can feel this concept so literally. And when you are on a regular basis able to physically push yourself out of your comfort zone to create growth, it makes it easier and easier to make those choices, and actually turn them into the desirable choice in your mind. I think you can really almost train yourself to seek discomfort to a degree, to a degree.
Mhm. Yeah, I agree. I think, and I see that a lot. You've got me really turned on to some people on social media that I wouldn't otherwise be following. But a lot of them are strength trainers and bodybuilders. And a lot of them talk about strength training being the thing that helped them cure themselves of something mentally,
Mhm.
that they're facing, or a transformation in their life, whether they're going through divorce or job loss or some sense of loss of self, they regain it through their strength training.
Mhm.
So it's kind of
Absolutely.
like a good, well, we talk about this all the time in terms of that body awareness, but that mind and body connection is
Yep.
so helpful in just kind of really embodying the transformation or like the better life that you desire.
It's grounding. It keeps you anchored to a process that is structured but not necessarily rigid. Provided you have a good kind of program design. Um, and I was just talking about this concept with somebody today. Uh, in reference to the mind body connection and how that can carry over into everything else in life, and that is that this is something that one of my fascia modality teachers always would say that stuck with me, and that is that a body that is unaware of its position in space, or essentially like a disconnected body, is a brain that's in the sympathetic nervous system, or constantly in that fight or flight, chronic stress mode, wherein because on the other side of the coin, you don't want to always be in that crisis mode, because then you're sort of, that's your comfort zone. So
Right.
then when you're actually, having to deal with something that could be considered a crisis or like strong adversity, you're just, you know, not in tune with the proper way to kind of switch your nervous system. So that mind body connection really plays more of an important role than just like some woo woo, like, oh, I'm so
Mhm.
connected to my mind and my body. No, like this will literally affect your relationships, your business, and the way you perform and do everything in life.
Yeah, Shahar. I remember Shahar talking to us about that too. And
Mhm.
talking about what type of
Qigong and Tai Chi,
yeah,
you know.
Qigong. Yeah.
Yeah. Mhm.
Qigong.
Qigong, the combination. We're gonna do a mashup.
I have to let Shahar know that we mentioned him and I coined that for him.
Qigong. Don't hate us martial artists. We're just joshing you.
Also, we both have head colds, but
Yes,
gotta laugh too.
I've got my 1-900 voice on. Hello.
I'm surprised we're even showing up, but just to have that awareness so that you can react in the right response at the right time. Um, instead of being that really heightened, well, I think it could go one of two ways. If you're extremely heightened all the time, always scared, you could just fly off the handle at any moment, or you could be extremely detached. So,
Right. Well, because it's fight, flight, or freeze.
mhm.
So it could just result in that kind of analysis paralysis kind of thing. You just do nothing because
Yeah,
you know. But in a way, in a lot of scenarios, when you're feeling stuck, when you're feeling stagnant, when something happens and you're not sure what to do, when you need to move a business or a relationship or yourself forward in some way, the scariest path is often the one that you should lean into the most at that time. And regardless of whether it's scary or not, or why it's scary, or if you can even identify that, because a lot of times the reason why it's scary is just because you don't know it, right? That's
right.
what I mean. That's what we're talking about, because it's out of your comfort zone. But that just taking an action in a different direction, even if you don't really know where that's going, can change the whole course of events completely. Just taking
Yeah.
one action in a different direction.
You know what I was thinking about? Everything you're saying is right on with, I think, the culmination of every time we've ever faced this topic. But I've seen it a lot in my clients, and it's been in my personal experience too. And I think the same can be said for yours. You can let me know. But a lot of the people that are attracted into our line of work, whether it be through fitness and nutrition or through feng shui or energy work, it's just that seeking of huge personal transformation, like total rebranding of self. And
Hmm.
that's really come up big time in my world that I've seen and I've heard from people out there that have reached out to me is they've made major moves that feel really uncomfortable and scary to them. Oftentimes from one side of the country to the other, leaving all of the belongings behind, just knowing that they belong anywhere else than where they were. And coming to this Tampa Bay area for them is like, they're here, total blank slate. And from here on out, they're intentionally creating their new self, like just
Yeah.
leaving the old self behind. And that's like, I love to see that.
Yeah.
I think I like that they're doing it from a place of excitement and facing the unknown and just intentionally creating every little piece, every little component that goes in. They're, inspired to have a different job or just live in a different climate. And then, in that is kind of what we talk about all the time, the programming of self. So what does your lifestyle look like in this new place? How are you treating yourself? What do your surroundings look like? People like that are just I get so excited for them and I definitely want to be involved with what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that's the key. And I definitely remember kind of like, giving myself this pep talk back in 2018 when I just blew the whole thing up. left the nursing job, opened the
Yeah, look at that.
studio, left the, relationship I was in, moved to St. Pete, all the things literally at once.
Mhm.
But I said, look, self, this mindset, like, yeah, is it scary as fuck? Yeah, bro. That like that was everything that represented stability to me, all at once. But I'm like yelling into the microphone now. Sorry, guys. Really,
You're
really passionate about
passionate.
this. But the point is, I chose to look at it as an adventure.
Mhm.
Like, I don't know what's going to happen. It's going to be an adventure.
Could be
And here
anything.
we are, here we are. What? So every new thing, and definitely it's not now, and it doesn't ever have to be. If you're like freaking out hearing all that, it doesn't have to be on that dramatic of a level, by the way, for this to work.
Right.
Like, I'm also looking at, moving right now, and just with the way things are, and kind of what we're needing for our little family right in this moment may require a fairly significant location change, and so I'm kind of trying to uh part ways with some of the emotional attachments I have to my location right now, and make that same mindset shift on a different level. Like, okay, this could be an adventure. If I make this change, who knows what, that will completely change the course of my life in one way or another, and that does not have to be a bad thing. That's a great thing if you choose to make it that way, even if the vision doesn't fully come together yet. Like, oh, but what's it going to look like? um just making that change will shift the energy significantly. But it doesn't have to be a relocation. You can start this practice very small and take a different, I don't know, route to work, or go to a different coffee shop, or just do something different. Go to a different grocery store. I don't know, like, do something different out of your comfort zone, and just see what happens. I bet you're not going to die, like,
Disclaimer.
I mean, unless it's your time to go, in which case, like, I can't do anything. But it's not because, okay, well, yes, sign the waiver. I'm not telling you to go do something where you're gonna die. Okay. But the point is, it doesn't have to be this big dramatic step to start. It can just be doing something different that you would consider outside your comfort zone. And the more choices that you make on a small scale like that, the more, I don't want to say the word comfortable, because that's what we're trying to get away from, but the more, um balls you'll have to kind of to make the bigger and bigger decisions. Lady balls, maybe, perhaps metaphorical
Yeah.
balls. But to make the bigger and bigger, more adventurous choices, that'll move your business forward, that'll move your personal growth forward, that'll move your relationships forward. Even with relationships, maybe it's like having scary conversations.
Exactly. I was talking to also just and I see a lot of this conversation happening in social media. Excuse me. Get a drink here. But
We're both like
you mentioned
snuffleupagus over here.
I know. We're not
I'm gonna
even
blame that on why I'm talking so loud.
yeah, I know. We'll get through this little cold that I think
I can't hear myself through the snot.
everybody has it right now. I don't know what it is.
I'm actually way on the up and up as compared to last
Mm.
Tuesday. If you had to suffer through my personality last podcast, I'm sorry.
Yes. Thoughts go out to everybody
My
fighting this
lack
cold.
thereof. I was just like, yeah, that sounds good.
Well,
Hey, I showed up.
you were just
I
saving up
showed up,
for
damn it.
you did, and that's important.
It's like
You were
I was
fighting through
like,
adversity.
I was definitely doing that.
I was
Yeah.
I was having conversations with few people, clients and friends, and we're having a really cool. Well, all of our guests are cool, but we're having a guest on next week, Carlos Garcia, who is a psychologist, but talking a lot about some of the buzzwords we hear in relation to attachment theory, and yes, everybody throws narcissist around here and there.
Mhm.
But a lot of the topics relating to ego and self. So there are times in life when you get so caught up in the mundane. It doesn't have to be anything traumatic or dramatic that you're going through, but sometimes the mundane is a thing that takes away our edge or our self awareness or our sense of self. And so, if there's people that are listening out there, and I've heard this a few times, so I think it resonates with some people that you've lost your sense of self so much, and perhaps you just keep yourself filtered or so quiet to make everybody happy or people pleasing that you don't even know what your favorite color is anymore. You don't know what would be fun. You don't know what to recommend. Um, you don't know what your style is or where how to go shopping anymore. But that's a real thing that people get disconnected from their self. And so it can
Mhm.
happen through bad, really traumatic ways. But it can just happen through getting caught up in what we think is comfort or stability in the sense that you're not testing um, your strength at all. So you're not building upon yourself. And so I would say that your recommendations to choose a different path that you're walking on or a different drink to order when you go to Starbucks or shop at a different grocery store or something like that. Those are great ways to um, just reconnect with things that you even like and to be able to talk about them. There's so many people out there
Mhm.
that they don't know when you ask them.
Or to discover that you don't like something and
Right.
that's fine too,
Mhm.
to have a handle on that. And I also now am thinking about the like um using cold plunge, sauna, etc.
Mhm.
In
Mhm.
this type of way as well. Again, obviously another very physical sort of manifestation of this idea, but applying that intentional stressor or adversity in appropriate doses to really just train your strength and your resiliency and your ability to um, manage yourself in those real life situations so that you're not inclined to just make the comfortable decision,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. No, I think those are really good recommendations for people to try. I see it a lot of times with my design clients because I'll show up and I do an initial consultation with them or over Zoom. And what's really great about the whole feng shui process is really helping people to know what their own personal energy is because you ask them, well, what do you like? What do you feel most comfortable in? It feels so broad. We're so inundated with all the things that everybody else connects with, everybody else's perspective and life experience that it can feel like, and I see this a lot of times people will live in their houses for 10, 20 years and not do a single thing to it because it's a blank slate of possibilities. There's nothing there's no uh, connection to self enough that they're able to express themselves in their own environment. So these practices that you're talking about and that we're talking about here today are great ways to not only just connect in with yourself where you are, but where you're growing to. And what are you, even you moving to a new city or part of town potentially, um, will shake up that programming to help you move into this because you're scaling in your business and your personal life and your, you know, Olivia's growing up, that
Mhm.
moving to a new place, it will just help you on that trajectory to expand into that next phase. So it's really cool. We didn't even think
Yeah,
about that in our pre-chat.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I personally, I think, have been seeking out adversity for a long time. Maybe in less less healthier, appropriate ways at first, and I've kind of honed that in over the years. But there's certain, and that's generally speaking, but of course, there's certain facets of things. Um, Maybe in business and entrepreneurship itself, but there's certain categories where it's still it's something I have to like definitely check myself when I'm just in the comfort zone.
Yeah. Yep. So like even in nature, there's things that happens to, for example, like orchids in nature. Do you have orchids at your house? Have we talked about this before?
I have
Mm.
had orchids, and don't judge me, but that has been the one
They're
plant that
difficult,
I have
right?
been unable to keep for a long term. I had two of them who were doing really well for a while, and then I shit you not, and somebody tell me in the Conscious Collaboration Collective Facebook group if you know what this is, but both of my orchids had like strokes overnight.
Mhm.
Like it looks like if you take the orchid out, and like the root body kind of looks like a brain stem. Okay, I'm a neuro nurse, so this is the this is the context that I can
Yeah.
understand. But there was like it wasn't black starting at the top. It was like a black, like um
Like an illness.
like the circulation had gotten cut off to the brain stem of the orchid, and they died overnight.
So wild. So
So I don't know if you know anything about orchid strokes. Holla at me. Tell me
yeah,
what.
please.
Tell me
I,
what I
I
did
would be
wrong.
interested too. But what what I had actually learned from a client, and also it's just part of the I Ching too. There's stories in it within about plants and about orchids. And there's some Chinese proverbs around it too. But orchids are so temperamental and so weird. They'll be blooming one day and like you insult them in some stupid way, like walk by them in the wrong direction and like they'll lose all their blooms.
So just stroke
And then
out, bro.
and next thing you know, it's just
Like,
a stick.
bye.
And so a client reminded me he had so many beautiful orchids all around his property that orchids just need a change of environment and then that will trigger them to bloom again. And I was like, oh yeah, like I've heard that, but also I just tended to give up so much on orchids. And I had an orchid that was just like a dead stick. It just looked like a stick, and I hadn't watered it, and I don't even know when. And I just completely forgot about it. Terrible, terrible plant mom. And so basically, I just put it outside and a different location. It was inside, and I watered it a little bit occasionally whenever I remembered. And the darn thing started blooming again. Like not only blooming, but it got 13, 14, an abundant of blooms on it. So it came back alive. I resurrected it basically. And so now I do that with my plants. I just move them to different locations, except for that one because he likes it there. But the orchid can be like nothing. It could be no blooms. It can just be a stick. It can look dead and have no life to it. And you move it, you give it a vacation, a new environment, something different to look at, and it just comes back alive. I think I know you're probably 3 years away, but so I think this is the
But
same.
I did try to move. I put them out in the sun. I did all the things.
The
But
proverb, and it might have an
they
illness.
had brainstem strokes.
That's
They were
interesting. I think I remember you telling me that, and I think it happened around a time of something major in your life. But
yes.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
not good.
I tend to have like plant drama
Yeah, plant trauma,
when there's
an
stuff going on.
indication.
But the good news is that money tree that got sawed
Yes.
off by the un unknown rodent at one point. I'm looking at it now and is just thriving. And every time I see a new little sprig, it like blossoms into this giant
Yeah.
leaf like a day later, and it actually legit looks like a tree now. So I remember when that happened and the stupid rat or whatever sawed it off.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, is this a bad omen,
It
Lisa?
looked
And
it
you're
looked
like,
like
no,
a goner, I
no,
remember.
no.
But it's like, so the proverb is something along the lines of there's nothing wrong with you in those moments when you feel dead or unalive. I'm paraphrasing and also just tying it into what we're talking about. That's not the exact proverb, but it just needs, there's nothing wrong with the plant. You just need to put it in a new environment.
Yeah.
And it can,
Well, we did eventually, but
and it's doing amazing.
it's a tree. It's a legit tree now. From stick to tree.
Yeah, money tree.
We did eventually relocate, right? I mean,
Yeah.
and did put it in a bigger pot. So
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
That is a good indication of money right by the door
Mhm.
coming into the business.
Come on in.
I think it's in your self-knowledge and wisdom law or area. So you've definitely had a lot of transformation there. All that
And
all that studying and learning and building and
it's been transformation fest over the last
yeah,
6 years.
adversity after adversity.
Yeah.
Super
Mhm.
strong. But
Adversity does not shy away from me. So
yes, adversity university.
adversity university. Oh, there you go. Hey, nobody steal that idea.
We don't know what we're going to do with it, but watch out.
We're gonna school you.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got
Thanks.
some to share, but yeah, I mean, I hope this resonates with whomever is listening to us. If there's something that's going on that feels uncomfortable, that you're doing something completely right and maybe just on the path of rebranding yourself and reinventing and
Yeah. Lean into the scary shit. If you're feeling stagnant or you're not sure what to do, just make one action in a different direction and watch what happens.
yeah. And if you need backup or support, you can talk about it inside of the Conscious Collaboration Collective, inside our closed and private Facebook group. So we can cheer you on in there. You can connect with us on social media, all the channels. And yeah, so happy
Nailed
that
it.
everyone, yeah, nailed it.
Nailed it.
No Sudafed involved today. But yeah, thanks everybody for subscribing and for posting your reviews and sharing what you like and what you'd like to hear more of. And don't be afraid to comment inside of the collective. We'd like to hear some questions and we can all commiserate about our adversities and conjecture where we're going.
Commiserate and conjecture. Sounds
Yes.
like a party.
Collective.
Commiserate and conjecture in the collective.
Adversity University. See you there.
Woo, woo. What was the Nobble and Goblin?
Yes.
Are we rappers?
Yep.
Yup.
That's right. Yes, you're welcome. All right, Emily. Well, it's been real. I hope the rest of your day goes well and everybody listening out there. We'll talk to you soon.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Talk to you in 5.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thank y'all so much for listening to our podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends so they can join our circle of collaboration on this journey. You can find us on Instagram at Conscious Collaboration Podcast, on Spotify, iTunes, and Audible, to name a few. Please join us next time for another deep dive into how you can live life in more alignment, mind, body, and business. Send us your questions and comments in our DMs or email us at consciouscollaborationpodcast@gmail.com. See you in 5 minutes.